Yeah, today I will cover the Philip Abrams book, the textbook. I just write down something about there. Marx should be the first, and after Weber and then Durkheim. The reason why Abrams he just positioned this Emil Durkheim, the second chapter, is because Emil Durkheim is so-called the founding father of sociology. If you try to find out the years, these authors write down their own books. Durkheim, page 339. Durkheim, you can find his book, Durkheim. He published The Division of Labor in Society in 1933. And he published, Emil Durkheim, page 339, the bibliography of this textbook. Here you can find Emil Durkheim's book, the title of the book and the publishing year. You can easily identify that year. The Rules of Sociological Method was published in 1938. But when you come to the Marx, page 344, do you follow me? Page 344, the end of this textbook, you can find the Marx. But the Marx book, Economic and Philosophical Manuscript of 1844, was published in 1959. Marx was dead 1883. That means it was published after his death. So it's not published during his lifetime. So don't be confused. The reason why I'm emphasizing that is, among the three founding fathers, the so-called founding fathers of sociology, Karl Marx, Max Weber, and Durkheim, only Durkheim is a scholar. Marx, he's a revolutionary. He did not have any job in academic world all through his life. He took exile all his lifetime. He was ousted from Germany. He exiled to France and then to the England. And his most of his pamphlets and articles and books were not circulated among academic world scholars. Circulated among political activists and revolutionaries. So his articles are just collected, published after his death. And Max Weber, let's come to the page 350, the end of the bibliography. Weber, The Methodology of Social Sciences, it was published, and page 349, the end. Weber, he published The Protestant Ethic and the Spirit of Capitalism. It was 1930. Actually, it was posthumously after his death. Max Weber actually was he's a social scientist, that's for sure, but he's not a sociologist. We owe too much to him, but during his lifetime, he never identified himself as a sociologist. He think of himself political economist and majoring in law, not sociology. His book, The Methodology of Social Sciences and General Economic History and Economy and Society, that's his masterpieces. But it was published after his death. What I am saying this is, Durkheim, his lifetime, he established himself as a prominent scholar. And so, although Emil Durkheim's chronology, you see, Emil Durkheim from 1858 to 1917. So his birth date is the latest, but he is in front page, second chapter, because he was well known during his lifetime. Durkheim, he has his position in French university system. So as an institution, as a discipline, Emile Durkheim is the founding father of sociology. Although with sociology department, we think of the Auguste Comte as the founding father of sociology. That's officially, that's for sure. Auguste Comte is the founding father of sociology because he coined the word sociology. But we usually identify three founding fathers, excluding Auguste Comte. We include Emile Durkheim, Karl Marx, and Max Weber. And one more. Why we praise Emile Durkheim and we put him in the first place is he is the founding father of the so-called industrialism. Marx and Max Weber, they are known for the critique of the capitalism, capitalist society. So although the angle is somewhat different, Karl Marx and Max Weber, two of the great scholars, they share the same concern. They are very critical about capitalist society, capitalist world order. But when we compare Durkheim's life and his works, Durkheim is very optimistic, and he has some put his faith in this industrialism, industrial society. So when you took that concept, in the social world, no concept is immune to some kind of value laden. So when you call someone professor or teacher or a sensei or when you call someone, you have some attitude, position toward him or her. You cannot just say, in the English word, Mr. and Ms. You just can say, even during the between the son and father, they just call the names. But in Asian world, in Korea, in China, and Japan, we have hierarchical, order. So you cannot just call your parent's name or grandparent's name. If you do that, I think you can imagine what happened. Only when you got drunken or you cannot identify your parents or your grandparents, you can do that. But in ordinary times, when you are sober and you are sane, you cannot do that. So in everyday life, actually we use terms, terminology, our word. It's value laden. So when you choose capitalism or capitalist society, that has very critical connotation. Even though you don't think capitalist society is good or bad, you don't have that kind of value judgment in your mind. But when someone here, you use the term capitalism or capitalist society, they identify you kind of very critical or kind of leftist, left lean, or even red, 빨갱이 in Korea. But Marx and Weber, although their version of capitalism is very different, for Marx it's conflict-driven, class struggle. It should be transformed to other social formation, that's socialist or communist society. But from Weber's point of view, that's not the case. Weber was dead in 1920. That means after the Russian Revolution, 1917, he's kind of genius. He learned Russian, and he read the Russian newspapers and Russian articles. What happened after the Bolshevik Revolution? And his conclusion is Russia is not a socialist country. It become much more rationalized, and the people's life is somewhat much more miserable, because the bureaucratic, the party, the Communist Party, and the Russian state apparatus, that just control the everyday life of the Russian people, Soviet people. So the quality of life is not that good, no better, compared to the Russian Empire under the Tsar. That's his view of the Russian Revolution and Russian society. So, Emil Durkheim, he was identified as the founding father of the industrial society. And Marx was identified the founding father of capitalist society and capitalist. He's the prominent critic of capitalist society. And so was actually Weber. But Weber's view is much more pessimistic. In some sense, Marx was very optimistic. In someday, the workers, the laborers, the proletariat of this world, they will come to understand their situation, and they make some alliances and just overthrow the capitalist system. That's Marx's vision of history. But from Weber's point of view, that's not the case. Capitalist society is getting much more rationalized and forever. And so people cannot find any escape, any exit from capitalist society. So from Weber's point of view, there is no hope for revolution or turning capitalist society into different kind of social formation. That's Weber's vision. So when you have chances to read Weber's books and articles, it's very hard to keep up with his own narration. He's so dry, so pessimistic. Yeah. So the second chapter, page 18, the transition to industrialism. Anomy. The anomy is the key word in Durkheim's. What anomy means? I told you ahistorcism and asociologism. Simply means just no, never, nothing. So when you talk about norm, anomy means no norm at all. No norm. I try to explain what anomy means. When you are living in your hometown, home village, you have so many people around you who directly know you, not just your name, but who you are. Where do you live? What are you thinking? What are you doing? And you are surrounded with human beings whom you know them very well, and they know you very well. But try to compare your village era, village life with that of urban life. When you moved to the city, the urban area, you just left your home, your hometown, home village, to some near city or big city, where you can find your job. In the first place, You moved to the city area by yourself. You did not accompany your own family, right? I want to explain the concept anomy. Why Durkheim coined that word, anomy. It was so familiar word in our everyday life. We talk about anomy. Even some anchors and in the media, they talk about anomy. But when you have chances to ask them, what do you mean by anomy? Most of them don't have any idea about that. Today I want to make it sure. It's very simple. When you are living in your hometown, say, you are surrounded by people and you share some common norm. Even though you did not agree with that norm, you are under the surveillance, under the control of that norm. Right? You have to pay respect, not only to your own parents, but all the elders in your village, right? When you just saw some elder people in your village, and when you happen to meet him or her, you ignore him or her. They got angry, they just scold you. So you share that kind of norm, moral code with all the family members living in that village. You share norm. But when you move to the city with your family members or by yourself, you are suddenly thrown into a new world where you cannot find any moral code. That means you're at a loss. You just lost control. You just lost track of what you should do. What to do when you meet some new people. You should make a new relationship with all the aliens, just strangers, not your neighbors. They are from the other part of your own country. I think in China now, after the economic development, in the big city area, the urban area, there are so many people, even though China is still a communist country and the central government has controlled the immigration within your own territory. But still, there are so many people, so many rural people, they poured into the city area. So when they moved from a rural area to city, the urban area, they were exposed to totally different world. They did not share any kind of social norm, cultural norm with all the strangers from all around the country. You should make new deal with them. You cannot just, behave, think, just like as you did in your own hometown. When you are in different social contexts, social milieu, you should find new moral or legal code. You should readjust yourself. But until that time, you are just at a loss. There's no norm at all. What kind of norm will regulate your own behavior when you first moved to the city? No norm at all. So Durkheim tried to describe that situation. After the industrialization means urbanization. Urbanization means the move from rural area to urban area. That means you got uprooted. You are living in some place, but you just left your hometown, home village, and you moved to other places. you should re-embed yourself. Until that time, you are just at a loss. You have no moral code at all. No norm. That's anomy. In the beginning of this class, I asked you, if there is no norm at all, how can you identify there are no norm at all? The answer is, you are under the control of some version of law or moral code when you are living in some places. When you moved to other places, you just lost contact of any, the social relationship which was given to you in that place. You are thrown into totally, new world. Just think about when you moved from elementary school to middle school, and middle school to high school to university. You moved not only the campuses, but also totally different social relationship. You just cannot do as you did in your elementary school days and middle school days or high school days. When you moved to different social relationship, you should change it. Your code, moral code, right? So anomy means, there's no norm which regulate your behavior, your activities, as well as your own mentalities. So when you moved to the city, industrial world, you just lost. You don't have any moral code which regulate your own behavior. So you are just at a loss. What should I do? So that's anomy. Anomy. No norm at all. So, you can understand the connotation of that approach. Durkheim strongly believe in that in some day, in some time to come, we can rebuild our moral code, and we can reincorporate all the people into that new norm. So I think you can hear that kind of argument. We don't have any, political culture. That's the reason why we quarrel. We just fight in the parliament, in our political field. We don't have any political culture. That means after we produce, we invent new political culture, we can overcome the kind of nasty, struggle. That's typical, Durkheimian approaches. So far, we don't have any norm, any culture at all. No moral code. But someday we can make moral code, norm, and that we can, obey that moral code, so that we can have some peaceful and very harmonious life. That's Durkheim's vision. And he talked about the mechanical solidarity and organic solidarity. He talked about the solidarity among people in rural area, mechanical solidarity, and the kind of solidarity in urban area after industrialization. He talked about organic solidarity. you should be very careful. When Durkheim tried to explain the lifestyle of rural area and the relationship among the people living in the villages, he described it mechanical solidarity. I always confused, the relationship in city area, that could be mechanical, and the relationship in rural area, that could be the organic solidarity, in my opinion. But anyway, he labeled the kind of solidarity in rural area as mechanical. The solidarity after the industrialization, the city life, he called it organic solidarity. Just think about when I was just a boy, and even when I was in your age, the early 20s, my mother make my own costume, my own garment, trousers and sweaters. I am asking you, how many of you have some clothes made by your own family members? Nothing. When you wear some clothes, it's made by other people, right? In the past, you manage your own hairstyle yourself or your family members. When I was a university student, the freshman and even sophomore, my elder sister cut my hair for me. That kind of solidarity, that's mechanical. But whenever you try to have your hair cut, you pay the money, the hair shop. That's organic solidarity. You have so many, stuffs. You need so many things. But among them, not just one item you can make yourself, or it was given to you by your family members. Just think about the rural life in, say, 100 years ago. Most of it's not just the food, but also all the clothes were made inside that village, that community. That's mechanical solidarity, that kind of relationship among the people living in that rural area. That's mechanical solidarity. But when you move to the city area, the food was grown by other people, sent to the city through other merchants. You just buy, you pay your money. The food, all the clothes, and all the necessities of life, you buy through the market. And that's the organic solidarity. So when you think about that, the Durkheim's theory, although he's talking about the transition from rural to urban lifestyle, actually he don't have any historical approaches. Here, that's the one reason why this author, Philip Abrams, he talked about Durkheim and his theory in Anomy, but it's only a small pages compared to Marx and Weber, because Durkheim's approach is not historical. Don't get confused. I explained to you the ahistorcism, the chronofetishism and tempocentrism the other week. People are talking about history, the passing of time. But when it comes to the theory or their analysis, they ignore the passing of time. That's ahistoricism. Durkheim is ahistoric, although he's talking about the transition from mechanical solidarity to organic solidarity, the division of labor in society. He lacks the historical vision. Anomie. It's very famous term. Anomie. So the power holders, the older generation, when they got questions, why there are so many social problems and social struggle in our society, in this world, they always they have some ready-made answers, because people were not educated. They did not know the social and cultural norm, the moral code. After they come to understand our system, our moral code, they were under the control. They come to understand our system. Why there was some struggle out there? Because they did not know, did not understand our own moral code, legal code. That's their answer. More education will solve all the problem. Why there are so many struggles out there, so many social problems? Because people don't understand the situation. After they come to understand our social world, our situation, we come to agree with, we come to some solutions. So Durkheim is actually during the Cold War era. Durkheim is only the proper, the due sociologist, or permitted to be educated in sociology department. Weber, he was presented as the anti-Marx. When they talk about Weber, they always focus on that how much Weber criticized Marx and Marxist theory. So they tried to reinvent Max Weber as if he is an anti-Marxist, and tried to present Max Weber as a bourgeois Marx. Karl Marx is a proletariat Marx. He always sided with proletariat, the working class, but tried to cast Weber as the arch enemies of Marx, criticizing Marxist theory.